Everybody can see?
Yes. Did you want to restart on a certain
Well,
spot?
it's my mom added more like activist photos, so it's not in sync anymore at all.
Okay.
So,
you can sit right
okay,
here.
great. So I'm Megan. I'm Jay's sister. So come, sit. So I did this. Now I feel like you can't see the pictures. So I did the. I read this in Denver when we had a memorial in August.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of like geared towards Denver audiences. So I've changed it a little to kind of accommodate all the activists here and his beautiful life in DC, which was basically 16 years, 14-ish years. So I want to introduce my children, my family. This is Alex, my husband, and Jay's dear friend, brother-in-law, and Maxwell Lawrence. And Jay had a song for Max, which was Maxwell Houston. I'm talking about you, son. You're Maxwell Houston. And I think, Max, did you still want to share your joke?
Yes.
Okay, so Max is gonna...
All right, Max.
There once was a little boy, and he saw a pirate. He asked the pirate where the pirate got the peg leg. The pirate said, an alligator. Arr! Then he asked the pirate, where'd you get the peg leg? And then the hook. And the pirate said, arr! A great white shark. And then the little boy asked, where'd you get the eye patch? And then the pirate said, arr! First day with a hook.
Okay, and this is my daughter, Annabelle, and on the drive down this morning from New York, she came up with this joke that...
But you have to see my song.
Oh, yes, and of course Jay had a song for Annabelle as well.
It's longer. Unfair.
Yeah. And it was Annabelle Oates Lawrence is Annabelle's full name. So Annabelle Oates, she wears fur coats, and she rides them boats, that go floating on the moats. And she milks them goats, and she takes lots of notes. And then she goes home and gives them to her folks. That is at Uncle Jay's Ode to Annabelle. And did you want to share your joke? It's cute. She thought this up on the ride. Okay, go ahead.
Why did the penguin go to jail?
Go to where?
Jail.
Jail.
I don't know.
Because, wait, what was it? What was? Oh, she's an ice burglar.
But
What were you?
because she's an ice burglar.
Those are the worst kind of burglars, let me tell you.
Okay, so do we do something so that this can...
I think you gotta hit, hold on, this,
Do I just hit something?
it probably pause. Oops.
Pause. Well, anyway, during the pause, I will reflect on a couple things. So, Jay was, as probably many of you know, was like an excellent rapper, and he believed that, you know, it was difficult to bring Shakespeare into modern life, and he believed that rap was the way to do this. And he was always always thinking, as Ellen can probably attest by his very prolific writing, he was always like challenging himself on like for example, he'd say birds, and he'd like think of how many different types of birds he could list like as quickly as possible. And I would just come across these lists everywhere as I was going through his writing. I'm like, whoa! And like he has names for Jay, and he's like Jackson, Jasper, Jefferson, Jericho, Jehoshaphat, Joshua, Jubal, and even like he would do these in like these small amount of times, just challenging himself, and that's what Jake's kind of known as, is like always making these great challenges. So anyway, I'm going to read, and some of it will be reflected. Okay. Born in the Circle of the Sun, Breach, in Scottsdale, Arizona, on May 2nd, 1970, Jay Houston Marks leapt into the world to adoring parents, John and Diane. With his flash of white hair, Jay quickly won hearts and appraisals from admirers of all ages. Thriving on his ability to make people happy and connecting with others, he adapted to new situations quickly and precociously. And like when the family moved to New Orleans and my mom said, Jay, come here. And he's like, no, Mom, come here. And by age 2, my mother swears he was reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and reading everything he could get his hands on by age 3.5. 1973 brought the family to Denver, Colorado, and baby sister arrived. An irreplaceable big brother and my biggest influence. And he is worthy of so much admiration. And he prodded and advised and championed and challenged and warned and tolerated. And there's a very funny exhibit A that I'm going to pass around.
Oh, yes.
How he tolerated his younger sister. And he definitely loved. And so many paths we walked along, and he visited me everywhere I lived and supported me in everything I did. And he like made out with every single one of my roommates.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
There we go.
And every one of our interns.
And he introduced and enlightened and allowed me to become me. And because of Jay, I am a much richer and deeper and more conscientious person than I would have ever been. My dear, dear hermano. He says, I am of the West. I love it there. And for me, at the frontier of my own awakening awareness, the West begins in summer 1974 in Cody, Wyoming, with my Uncle Jim. Scores of stories exist from the 12 summers we spent in Wyoming with Jim Houston, 2-time world champion bareback rider, turned rodeo producer, storyteller par excellence, enthusiastic uncle, but for now, suffice to say that summer in Cody, 74 to 77, and Jackson Hole, 78 through 85, we were submerged in the unique American subculture of rodeo. We watched, worked, rode in, fed animals for, cleaned up after, promoted about, counted tickets from, and basically ate, drank, and slept rodeo for 3 months every year from the day school ended. It's where I learned to ride, work, hike, national park proximity, check, fish drive, kiss, love freedom, fear authority, sometimes wish I was home playing summer baseball or soccer with my friends, and otherwise become everything I would forget I was during the school year. But all summer, every summer through 85, when Jim gave up the concession granted by the town of Jackson, it was all horses all the time. Jay rode calves out of the chute at age 6. I watched him ride steers, get horned by Mexican fighting bulls, witnessed his broken leg from racing a horse on wet pavement. Jay testing boundaries. Jackson in the 70s and early 80s also presented Jay with his first of many theatrical roles as the town brat in the Pied Piper, Exhibit B. I'll pass it around. His love for audience, playwriting, lyrics, and drama saw him in everything from Shakespeare to Daddy Warbucks. But the town brat in Pied Piper is, I feel like it's important because he was expressing his displeasure with the mayor. At an early age, he was already planted. He was Chekhov to his ultimate Danny Zuko in Greece in Denver, and he wrote, directed, attended, and acted in theater as much as possible, always returning to it as a home for collaboration. And it's true, when he returned from summers of rodeo, he was a happy, busy kid growing up in healthy Denver, downhill skiing, clubs, soccer, karate, trombone, baseball, football, excelling in school, winning poetry contests, competing in spelling bees, torturing his sister, playing with friends, and he had a bonus on vacation visiting his eccentric father, John, in various beautiful locations along the coast, Carmel, Santa Barbara, the Florida Keys, his exposure to the vast sea. In the early 80s, two influential events occurred. The viewing of the film Gandhi, which the famed leader revolted through nonviolent protest, and a visit to Washington, D.C. with his 8th grade classmates. While touring, he picked up a flyer from a 24-hour vigil outside the White House from a man protesting nuclear weapons, later to become a major player in his adult life. High school in the 80s, continued excellence in academics, National Honor Society, National Merit Scholar, Student Council, newspaper staff, yearbook, youth and government, Optimist Club debates, Student Board of Education, varsity soccer plays, musicals, culminating in the award of the Boettcher Scholarship, a full ride and merit-based scholarship for any school in Colorado. So off to Colorado College. Oh boy, the block system. It turns out that Jay had some difficulty for the first time ever learning, say, Russian in 4 weeks. It was the non-academic element Jay enjoyed at college. He was the... Really? Yeah. He was the opinions and sports editor of The Catalyst, CC's newspaper, and certainly his two passions. He was a wild, maniacal Bronco fan and later Baltimore, and taking every loss completely personally. And he truly loved playing and watching the quick thinking and subtlety of all sports and the blast of thinking as a team and the sportsmanship of it. Theater, peer tutoring. He was a very cool RA, apparently. And in his words, he organized monthly recreational, informational, and community service programs for residents and resolved conflicts and mediated concerns among a wing of 20 boisterous freshmen. He even tried his hand at conformity when he joined the fraternity, underwrit as a telling vacant chairs person. That was supposed to be funny. Anyway, his challenging course load, coupled with his scholarship not allowing him to go abroad, helped with the decision to take time off. And to Minneapolis it was, where he joined the Small Change Theater Troupe as Captain Hydro, touring the country schools, espousing environmental and conservation awareness. Then off to Eastern and Western Europe and Morocco on his own, and finally back to CC, graduating with a history major. He entered journalism school in Boulder, sure of his love of writing, and he was prolific, but left after a semester, disillusioned with journalism's slants and biases, and likely the unrelenting deadlines. In 1996, Jay left for Israel, Egypt, and Jordan. Just make sure you can see the pictures. Working as assistant manager of the Tabasco Hotel in Old City, Jerusalem, where he bridged his words, bridged culture and communication gaps between international clientele and informed and encouraged and placated customers of diverse nationalities and returned to Denver in '97 and then off to DC on a promising job writing scripts for academic topics enhancing college students' education. He then obtained his real estate license, worked as a productions assistant and location scout for Steven Spielberg Productions, and then, dream of all dreams, he loved sports, as I mentioned, but he also loved games of every kind, cardboard, dice, word, but trivia may trump them all, and when Jeopardy contacted him, he was all over Alex Trebek, and Jay was a contestant on Jeopardy in 1998, and went home with the parting prize of a DVD player, relatively new to the world, and the answer that everyone in our family now knows but didn't is, who is Margaret Sanger? The woman who started Planned Parenthood, as if any of you didn't know. And, well, he followed through on desire to open a hostel in Portugal with credit cards instead of Jeopardy spoils anyway, and opened the Last Resort Travelers Hostel in Lisbon, Portugal during the 1998 World's Fair. In like 99 or 2000, he returned to DC, surviving Y2K, which did concern him. And he began a new decade devoted to activism as a prescient voice of peace and justice, combining his intellect, charisma, and sincerity. In '02, Jay began attending and organizing peace marches. In '03, he marched in a demonstration at the Republican National Convention where he was wrongly arrested and refused to pay the $25 fine.
Right on!
In '04, he attended a 3-day jury trial held in NYC, which my husband witnessed part of and described it as the Jay Show, completely in his element. He spoke out against violating the rights of peaceful protesters arrested, detained, and subjected to unsafe conditions for the crime of raising their voices. Also in '04, Jay ran for DC City Council on the Green Party platform. Ultimately unsuccessful, he injected powerful ideas like voting rights, restoration of a public hospital, accountability on safe drinking water and public investment based on needs of working people rather than interests of corporate lobbies and real estate developers. Yeah. And he supported the anti-nuclear vigil outside the White House that inspired him in middle school. As part of the next generation engaged in the vigil, he moved into the Peace House where the founders Thomas and Ellen lived. Mid-aughts, Jay started the DC Guerrilla Poetry Insurgency to host and cultivate political spoken word. Always creative, always collective, always admirable. He was a master lyricist and rapper-rhymer, by the way. An incredible memory for songs and poetry. On his last visit up to us, we had a Shakespeare off, and he won with the sonnets, but we were pretty neck and neck. Coordinator of the Washington Peace Center, whoops! He supported campaigns, organizations, and communications mobilizing against war, and distributed the Activist Alert, a resource for the peace movement, and spoke at dozens of events addressing poverty, income inequality, climate change, civil rights, and civil liberties. In 2008, he became uncle to twin niece and nephew, where I could wax poetic for pages. He was so connected to his spirit, and that held all children captive to him. As I know Mike and Pam can relate to. Yes, there you are. The yearning, that thirst, that energy and hope, that innocence and curiosity and questioning, that need and that belief that life is a blessing and a mystery, that we've all got game. He was an activist through and through. He activated, motivated, and inspired. In 2009, he toured the country on the Proposition 1 campaign roadshow, visiting military facilities, national parks, community events, and then Japan and Vietnam, all on the anti-war platform. In 2011, Jay found a job aligning with his values in the green tech sector as a site auditor for Solar City and installed renewable energy infrastructure to hundreds of homes in and around Maryland.
Right on.
It was in Annapolis that he bought the Respite, his beloved sailboat, and taught himself to sail or someone helped.
Kayak.
Yeah, and kayak, well on the Chesapeake Bay.
This is on the boat.
I think Mike helped him learn. He learned sailing from Salty Dogs, who took him on a tutoring journey. One who took him on a journey from the Bay to Rhode Island. And I knew he was taking this trip but did not expect the call demanding me to be at Brooklyn Bridge Park in 15 minutes where he
Lead
sailed.
time. He's all about lead
Oh
time.
yeah! Where he sailed under the Brooklyn Bridge with his famous wave and smile.
I saw it.
Not to interrupt, but didn't he do a handstand on the stern of that boat? Because he was almost thrown over by the captain.
Oh really?
I've heard the other side of it. and
I have no doubt.
Tall tales abound.
Max and Ava.
Wow. They're only going to grow taller as the years go by.
Missed it.
Oh, yes. It was
I have no doubt
It
it's
was
true.
for Max.
I saw it.
Somewhere around this time, he squeezed in work on Vashon Island in Washington and visited Haiti, South America, and Alaska with Ray. What did he do with you in Haiti? There you
Oh, no,
are.
I wasn't in Haiti when he was there.
Oh, okay.
Actually, he was in I was in the Dominican Republic. I met him on the tail end of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I told him where to go.
Oh, I bet. South America and Alaska, he's spreading his incandescence and belief that he could make the world a better place. In 2014, he was awarded a 5-figure settlement from his trial in New York, part of nearly $20 million paid by the NYPD from the arrest during the Republican National Convention. Yeah. His retirement, and off he then moved to North Carolina to build a sustainable earth-based home on the land of his Peace Vigil friend and East Coast mother-sister on her beloved property. A Herculean effort. My mom called building this dome work fit for prisoners. After going out to help. In 2015, Jay's last year, Denver for the holidays, a trip with Uncle Jim to the National Finals Rodeo, out to California for a visit with friend Alex, rounded out to Arizona, a most memorable trip with myself, my kids, and his dad, and back to DC. An explosive meeting of love to a Connecticut girl, Anna, their bopping romance to friends, gatherings and festivals and burns, and then July 19th, 2015, a fatal dive into a beautiful but murky North Carolina lake. At his apex, strong, healthy, a new chord strumming, happiness, elation, beauty, love, peace, and poof, we all remained stunned in disbelief, affected. So he wrote this last year. This is a birthday celebration, and we hope to do it. And we hope to do it. Well, this is a different one. But he wrote this on his Facebook page on May 2nd, 2015. Scoot over so people can see it. Friends and family, I just want to say thank you for all the B-Day love and good wishes. 45 laps around the sun, and I have been so lucky to make them with you. I feel so humbled and profoundly grateful to have met so much I still, I think he should be many. But so many fun, wise, beautiful, full-hearted souls on this journey, helping me follow and spread the light all along the way. I love you people! I love this planet! I love this life! And did I say thank you? Rocka Chaka Lula, babies! Let's make another lap, shall we? Ready? Go! All right, that was Jay. That is my bit. I mean, there's still so much.
Again, that was.
Yay! So, any questions? Any questions? Does anyone want to debate any of this? Max, you have to say? Yeah.
I want to say I have one story that my mom forgot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh,
My mom told me it, but for some reason she didn't tell me. I mean, she didn't say it in the little thing. She might have, but
You were out of the room.
well, Jay had this thing that he put over his head, and it was like a retainer.
Oh, a headgear.
Yeah,
headgear.
Oh, the headgear.
And
Would you like to
he-
pass around the photo of the headgear?
Yeah, Exhibit C.
and he never wore it. So, and he went to Florida, and he was so embarrassed that he didn't wear the headgear that whole time, that he wore the headgear all the trip in Florida.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was not the one who was embarrassed. It was
Everybody else.
Right. Anyway, yes. Jay, that was like Jay
But he had the
making up
best
for
teeth.
time, right? So he was supposed to wear his headgear
Look at his
every
teeth,
night.
they were lovely.
Like perfect. He had the best smile.
Yeah,
Everybody, look at this.
He did.
does.
Yeah.
How old was he when he wore the headgear?
He was 9.
No, I think 12.
Oh yeah,
worked.
12.
32.
So just so you know, you don't have to wear it every night. You can just wear it during spring break.
All parents would love to hear that.
Yeah, good story, Matt.
Okay.
Let me have it so I
Now
can know.
now there's time for everybody else, and I have a list of names of some people that have volunteered or want to say some words. And Anna, then why don't you step right up? That's great. You all know Anna?
Connecticut gal.
I feel so honored to meet all of you. Many I've met after Jay. I think of the experience I had with Jay, and it's like I got a homeopathic dose of his whole life. We had one of each experience that you could have. We went boating once. We went to Ellen's once. I saw the hut in Process. We went to a concert once. We went to one.
Oh wait, we're gonna get you a mic. Hold on a second.
It's right behind you here.
Okay. Yeah.
1 second.
But Jay and I met dancing, which is very appropriate.
I was
for
there. I watched
me
the
and
whole
for
thing
Jay.
happen.
It was on Pi Day, which last year was like the perfect Pi Day, 31415.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was just a magical day. We met, and then he walked me to my car. Well, first he said, "Do you need a ride home?" And I said, no, I have my own car. And then he walked me to my car. And then he just said, well, I'd really like to see you again. And I said, okay, well, how do you plan to do that? And he looked at me and I said, this is where you asked for my phone number. And so he asked me for my phone number, and then he was like, well, I'm going to North Carolina tomorrow. I don't know when I'll be back. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll see this guy again. And he called me, and we had nice phone conversations for 3 weeks. And then when he returned, we hung out, and we went dancing again. And it was beautiful in springtime. And we decided to, very early, like a week after we'd been hanging out, we bought tickets to go to Transformers, and we were so excited to go to this event in North Carolina that was near where he was living. But in the interim, we went, as I said, we had just one of each experience that I would have hoped to replicate many times. And looking at the stories and the beauty and learning about his whole life, he told me so many of the highlights of those stories, but never time to get into all of the details. And so it's been so wonderful to learn about them afterward and learn to fill in all the details and meet his family. And there's a strange overlap where the day that Jay died is my parents' anniversary, and I think of that as like the day that began my own life when they got married. So it was already an important day in my life. And then the other coincidence is that his birthday is the same day as my grandmother's birthday, who was my only grandparent. And so when we met and I learned that, he immediately had this like magical sparkle to him to have that same birthday, which passed just a couple of weeks ago. And I guess I don't have too much else to add, except that it's, again, an honor to meet all of you afterward and learn about the depth of his life, and such an honor to have spent several months with him before he left us. Thanks.
Thank you. I was lucky enough to be in the room at the Z-Bar. Jay had hauled me off over there for something I rarely do, and I saw Anna come into the room, and I was watching her. She was obviously the belle of the ball, and then Jay came up, and I was just about to point her out to him, and he made a beeline over there, and yeah, it was great, and I was right behind her when they walked out the door together, and anyway, so wonderful. So Chris Menicall has a story to tell us about the boat, the famous sailboat. Good, Chris.
Use the moon.
No, go down there. We can't hear you. Be in the spotlight.
All right. Hi. Is there enough feedback? I'm Chris, and Jay tried to get me to teach him sailing, and I refused because I'm too smart for that. But he did, and to his credit, go and take the real course from the state of Maryland, as I told him to do. And then once he did that, we went sailing. And so he got respite the O'Day 23, nice little boat. Kept it on a mostly unused Naval Academy buoy.
He got it for free, didn't he?
If by which you mean to use a buoy that he's not allowed to.
No, the boat.
Sure, got that, yeah. Yeah, the boat, yeah, I mean, it was,
That
yeah.
was $1,000.
That sounds about right, yeah,
With
package deal.
Dinghy and
Yeah, outboard motor,
dinghy.
yeah, the whole
Yes.
thing. So, I was asked to help find a new home for the boat, and put an ad on Craigslist, because the boat had kind of like a negative value, because there was deferred maintenance, you might say. I know you're all shocked. But we found Eric Peterson was his name, and he came out from Roanoke with his 16-year-old son John, and they loaded it on a trailer and took the boat back to Roanoke to be repaired in the driveway, because they wanted to go sailing but didn't live at the water. So, and a donation was made to whatever was in the notice. Like he said, he made a donation for that. So
The Washington Peace Center.
that sounds right.
Yeah. So the boat's proceeds went to the Washington Peace Center.
Right.
And all this while, there's some wonderful photographs of Jay and
There's the boat.
respite. Elizabeth, would you like to say a word? Great. And then after Elizabeth, or shortly after that, we'll get into some music. Elizabeth did an awesome job. Within a week of Jay's passing, Elizabeth helped pull together a wonderful, wonderful memorial service. And many of you were there, but it's great. So lots of energy here.
I have a story to tell you to begin with that is not directly related to Jay. One day I was walking home to a house. I was house sitting, and it was mid-afternoon. The sun was setting, and I crossed my friend's home. Had an inset porch, and I had just crossed where the brick wall was when a figure hit me, and I landed on my knees as though in presence of something. And it told me not to look directly at it. It told me to look between the dark and the light. And if you dangle with psychics, they will tell you angels appear within the dark and the light. And there's a very famous impressionistic painting in the Met of Joan of Arc seeing the angels. And if you look directly at the painting, you don't see the angels, but if you step to the right, the angels are there in the trees. So I fell to my knees, and I looked, and it was my birth father. I'm adopted, and my birth father had passed at least a decade before. And he said, you know, he was in like Roman attire. Actually, he was in Celtic royalty. He had the red cloak of royalty and the gold shin guards, and he was very proud of himself. He was like, do you like how I look? And I was like, yeah, it's very impressive. And he said, good, because it took me a lot of energy to manifest like this. And then he said, watch this, and he shot this angel wing out to the very end of Sarah Nellie Bergman's yard. And I said, wow. And my father's message to me was, when are you going to get married so I can come back as your son? And I said to my father, I said to my birth father, my parents are already bothering me about this. Is this really necessary for you to come back and bother me about having children? This is very covered. But 9 months later, I met my father's side of the family. And during a happy hour at our family reunion, I mentioned that my dad had appeared to me as a Celtic warrior, and my aunts, without missing a beat, said, oh, he came to you in the Celtic warrior suit. He does that to all the women. He comes to the men in his rugby suit. It's always his choice. So on Jay's birthday this year, I went out for a drive, and I was hit by a flash flood in Rock Creek Parkway. The water was just a small, easy puddle, and then it was at my front hood. And then as I am figuring out that the water is at my front hood, the water is at my window. And then I decided it's time to go and leave everything behind. Of course, if you know me, I checked my head for a moment. Do I have any contraband left in the car? No. Okay, it's time to go. So I left, and the water was rising, and my car was being flooded. And I walked myself through the water, and I swear to you that I heard outside of my body Jay's laughter. And I heard it swelling from the trees down to me, and I heard that help was on the way. And I said, okay, whatever, man. I just gotta keep walking through this flood. And when I had almost walked my way out, help arrived. So it's important to me to share these stories to you, to encourage you to remember that spirit does go on. And one of the things that was floating in my car that I managed to clean up is Anna Rinklin's jacket or hoodie that he had wanted returned to her, and was one of the only things I was able to save in my car. I protest Jay's death. Jay lives in every way, in every heart, in every day. And that is what I have to share with you today. Our friendship was long and heartfelt and filled with competition. Yea, verily, though I could go through Shakespeare and raise the winds that would gale his talk. His tale is too tall for me to walk, for he has set sail and dove where none of us have gone. So I look forward to hearing your stories, and I hope that my stories let you at least believe, if you are stern in things being of this earth to be felt. I urge you to maybe believe that he walks with you if you are ready to receive him in your heart.
We love you, Jay.
I just thought it might be
Susie, how did you know Jay?
I met Jay through Chris, who was my boyfriend for 5 years. And Jay and Chris were co-workers, but they were also very close friends. They shared a house for a while. And can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And so my relationship with him was never anything more than platonic. And, you know, I don't think that's important. I just want to throw that out. But like, another thing about our relationship was that he would, I would see him, and his last name was Mark, so I would say, "Mark's in my heart," and I'd grab him, he'd go, "Sue's in my soul," and we'd hug. And so that was, let me get my phone. I feel like poetry can sometimes be a transition between music and other spoken word. Okay, so all summer, all July, the summer's been trying to get her crazy arms around me. I thought as I biked through the rain and pouring thunder, all the way up 11th Street, it was one of those lines you can't connect to anything, just warm as whiskey, sweet as embers. Something about water and the failure to surrender, to experience despite falling, in love over and over, dropping earrings like in the fountain, and eating daylilies like communion, stitching hours of sobriety together for the road trips that we took to all the festivals, where we concocted careful alchemies to obliterate our bodies. I've been working for the government. I've been thinking about Mulder and Scully and their bargain between the man and some all-consuming mystery. I've been staring through the plexiglass at our campus that's all greenery, all lavender and catalpa trees. It's a real Tower of Babel where I wander between the dry dark of my office and these forests of Tajiki, Serbo-Croatian and Dari, colleagues who code switch between English and Hindi effortlessly. It's so pretty. I concluded in a hypomanic letter to my old professor. He said, "It sounded good. You can be hypomanic at me any day," he said. "You can send me all your poetry." I found a book by Mary Carr in a box on Pershing Street. It was at PEX when Aaron told me what I already knew about how smoking just felt better when you were flat on your back, watching the sky go white and gray and blue. That's a terrible description. If you're looking for a word, I guess I'd call it skull gooping. What I do on Chris's roof, it takes skull gulping. Sorry, that's the name of the poem, is sky gulping. What I do on Chris's roof, it takes 3 puffs in a row to get the tobacco to take me and roll me around. After that, I close my eyes and I feel connected to my body. I just listen to the chemical song go singing through my blood, and I roll my head around and I check out the skyline. Today it started raining. As I finished the first one that I'd been working on, Chris came up to talk about work, and then he went down again. I said, "Don't you think it's fun?" He said, "Up to a point," and this is it, where he climbed down. But I knew it would let up, so I let it have its way for 15 minutes. All of them I spent calculating the odds that it would put out the next one I was lighting. I got it right. I'm all statistics at work these days and off. I'm always talking odds, it seems, but math isn't the real me. Math is just the language of the failure to surrender, was what I'd say to my professor before they found you in the river. Now there's a page devoted to you, an electronic grave that's been constructed in your honor. Everybody telling stories about your death, before and after. We're still not sure how it happened. All I know is that the summer got her crazy arms around you. You were nothing if not present. Every moment that I met you, every greeting was a first one and a last one. How a traveler sees the world in spare dimensions. I mean, 3 of them and then some. Cataloging constant wonder that no notebook can contain, though you carried one like I do. And I read some of your pages, which was wrong of me. But I'm not sorry, they were beautiful. I keep hoping that someday someone will want to read the pages in the notebooks that I carry, but I know there's something missing. If even on the roof, if even when I'm reeling with tobacco, I'm still doing math, when what I wanted was a language for that feeling in the rain, for the fireflies in the summer, for the water and the heights and all their attendant dangers. I bet it's different from the nitrous at the doctor or the dentist, when the water finally takes you and rips you from your body, from the language that you loved in some of the same books I do. Did the Arabs invent zero, or did they just give it a symbol? That's one thing I'd like to ask you. Though I'm hoping that you'd laugh from whatever spare dimension at the way I phrased the question. It's like when I was a kid and I asked something. I'm almost done. It's like when I was a kid and I asked something my mother couldn't answer. She'd say, "I'd find out someday when I arrived in heaven." What a laugh, you and St. Peter, leafing through the catechism, the way you check bets at a racetrack, like God's just some hack announcer. What a laugh. Then again, who am I to say what's realer than some holy book that posits you in heaven with St. Peter, calligraphing chaos, smoking hash joints dipped in chrism, inventing brand new words for everything that isn't, for everything that is and isn't.
So now we have a Jay sing-along. Jay was great. Jay was a great entertainer.
It was called Prison Labor, but it's actually a lot more fun.
It's a lot more fun.
Jay's Dome is almost finished. It's on Ellen Thomas's wonderful property, North Carolina. Phil is here. Phil, put your hand up. He was a monster last year as we were winding up the dome, and Elijah, of course. A lot of us, right?
Like a prisoner.
Like a prince.
But the best part about it is we got through most of the heavy work. The rest of it is just like kind of the pinnacle of the dome as it goes up, and it's going to curve in quick. So it's not going to take too long. We're hoping one weekend in June.
All right,
So
I'm
we're
there.
all right, Martine's there.
Really?
Phil, June's good. Maybe Elijah can come back down. Ellen, can we come visit in June?
I can do a weekend.
All right. All right. Alex. George, maybe.
maybe.
But we'll put out an announcement, and it'll be a great chance to get down to North Carolina and see what Jay was totally inspired by this. You know, especially in times of war with refugees and climate change and refugees, we have a chance to build, you know, basically housing.
So who do they contact and when?
I'll put it on the Facebook page for this event.
So the party,
Yeah.
the memorial party will continue in Tryon with the mud dome. And the party also will continue. The bikers are coming up that left this morning from Raleigh, North Carolina, with a 90-year-old World War II veteran for peace. They'll be arriving in Middleburg next Friday night, I believe, and people are welcome to come and ride that last 30 miles in from Middleburg, or 40 miles, whatever it is, from Middleburg with the riders.
And it's so inspiring. I did it last year and it was so great.
And Anna was there with us last year, and so if anybody would like to go out there, just talk to me before the evening's done, and we'll arrange for you to get out there.
Which one are we doing?
Something's happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. Stop me, stop, Jay, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speak in their minds. We're getting so much resistance from behind. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Yay!
What a field day for the heat. Must been 1,000 people in the streets. They're singing songs and carrying signs. Mostly saying hooray for our side. Hey, stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Your paranoia strikes deep, and into your life it will creep. Little stops when you're always afraid. Step out of line and take you away. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
George Bush to bringing me to Washington, D.C. But the people that kept me in D.C. were people like Jay.
Right on.
I mean, it was the people here and the vibe here that kept me coming back. I mean, I don't know if a lot of you don't know that I live, my house is 4 blocks from Venice Beach, and that's where my children live and my family lives there. We have a compound, and I could be in Venice Beach, but I chose even these horrible winters in Washington D.C. to be around people like Jay and all our friends that are here in Washington, and I'm so eternally grateful for having met Jay and been able to be part of his life. And I know that every single person in this room, I mean, has been touched by him, even if you didn't know him, I am part of Jay. Jay is coming from me right now. He is like excitement. He is like words. He's like vibration. He's like trip. He's like another place where I met Jay. So I'm riding my bike. I have this big pink fuzzy bike and with big giant handlebars, and I've got my man burqa on. So you don't even know who I am because I've got the burqa on. It's a pink burqa with the thing, and Jay goes, Tyke! How the hell did you know it's me? So we spent some good time at Burning Man, and I was on the playa, and he said, Tyke, man, shit, this is gonna be a trip. And it was. It was a trip. We took rides on the art cars, and we got to experience Burning Man together. And I gotta say that if you're ever at Burning Man, you should be at Burning Man with a guy like Jay, because he takes you around and shows you everything and introduces you to everybody, even though you're wearing a pink burqa and you're totally nude. So, yeah. Anyway, like I say, the only thing I can leave you with is that I still expect Jay to run up my steps someday and say, Tyke, let's go, let's do this. We got things to do. Why are you sitting down? Let's go. Come on, man. It's great out there. You're going to love it. Oh, it's the best. And, man, why are you even sitting? Get up. Let's go. Yay. So that's what I'm going to do.
Norman wanted to talk about the T-shirts that are available. Norman,
Where's Norman?
okay, then is Pete Petropoulos still here? Or Ray Carrier? Ray, you're on the spot, Ray. I know you're right here. Okay, good.
All right, well, talking about Burning Man, I brought Jay to Burning Man the first time.
What year was that?
Yeah, 2003.
Okay.
I had been there the year before, and I told him that he absolutely had to go. So we had been rooming together at the time. And I didn't know it, but he made some contacts with some friend out west and this type of thing, and he found out that 2 weeks before Burning Man opens, Burning Man is on federal land. It belongs to the Bureau of Lands and Mines. And they have what they call a ranch at the end of the Burning Man location, where the permanent people, the volunteers, go to set things up. And he found out that 2 weeks in advance, the federal government allows people to go in to work as volunteers to set it up. And so we found out about it, and Jay found out about it through someone who was involved in coordinating the volunteers. And we ended off there in dropping in. We were traveling across country, and I told Jay, I said, before I went on this trip, I said, we are going entirely on your schedule. I am not making any decisions. This is your trip entirely.
Doctrine of infinite flexibility.
Exactly. So anyway, typically we would sit around all day long doing nothing, this type of thing, and suddenly in the middle of rush hour, about 5:30, you say, okay, it's time to go, let's head out somewhere. And I remember that's how we left Denver, and I wanted to see the mountains, and we ended up driving in the middle of the night, so I didn't see very much. But we stumbled into Burning Man at 3 o'clock in the morning, just the day before the volunteers were allowed to come in. It happened to be a night that was a bit eventful, because apparently there was some one-armed man who had been murdered on the road, and the guy had been there 2 or 3 days earlier and this type of thing. So
Richard Kimball did it.
So we ended off volunteering with about 20 other people, putting putting up the barriers, the walls that go around it to begin with, and then after that, laying out the locations where they were going to be building the events, planting these little things and whatever. And so it was just an absolutely fantastic experience that we had, and it's
We saw
there were
the
so many
videotape.
things that Jay and I can.
It was hot.
It was hot.
It was
but
mostly
actually, that's
topless
the surprising
girls.
thing about Burning Man. You've been there. Surprisingly, it doesn't seem that hot out there. You're in the middle of the damn desert, But it's something about it is hot, but you don't know.
It's dry.
So I mean, the whole experience was just. The type of thing that Jay just thrived on. I was just following to see what he was doing, and we ended up having a great time together.
Right? You went with Tom Howell, psychic investigator too.
Well,
That was another trip.
that was a
Another
different
trip.
one.
All
No,
right.
that wasn't the
Okay.
same one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew there were
So-
many. Thank you.
No, but Jay, opened my life up to so many things. I had been doing international work and spending most of my time outside of North America and didn't even know what the hell was going on. And I came back and between George here and Jay, you introduced me to the activist community and put me in the middle of everything. And especially, I remember around the time of the 2003 when the war was breaking out, I was living with Jay, and he was the one who was getting all the permits to, for protesting at the DuPont Circle and all these other things as part of, especially on the day that the war broke out, when we were walking in the rain, going to the White House and protesting there, and had an absolutely memorable experience.
What about your wedding?
Oh! Jay was the master of ceremonies at my wedding. Very, very touching.
Ray's wedding was
It was a really awesome experience. I mean, Jay and I were very, very tight. As I say, we lived together for 2 or 3 years. I mean, we lived in the same house. And most of the time, I never even saw him because he was floating all over the place, the way he always does, And nobody knew where Jay was most of the time. You couldn't find him when you didn't have a cell phone, But he was a free spirit who, basically, I am in the process right now of trying to write up a Wikipedia article. And many of you folks I'll be contacting you to get more information about it. But I consider Jay, to be the model of what a progressive activist should be.
right on.
And he's always going to be my model in that regard.
Right on.
And Jay had mastered ceremony. He wasn't just a master of ceremonies, he had mastered ceremony.
Yes.
We need a woman's voice, so I'm Ann Wilcox, you all know me. I knew Jay for many years, like all of us, love Jay, and I was his treasurer for his 2004 campaign for city council. We also went up to the Carey Convention in Boston together in a van, and Nature Boy was on that trip.
Nature
So
Boy!
Yes, Nature Boy. And of course, the peace community and all the things we did. And I just want to thank Elizabeth and Mike for putting together the GEL program last year, the day-long program. I hope we'll do that again this year.
September 10th. Yes.
And I also wanted to mention that we got to know your father, Megan John, who's a member of our community also. He's such a cool guy, and I've hung out with him many times. The other point I wanted to make about Jay was I didn't find out till after he died about the whole rodeo stuff. That was not something I knew about, but it made sense because he had these incredible muscles. He wasn't your typical slacker. He was ripped, and I guess that was all those summers wrestling steers or whatever. So that's a woman's perspective.
Joan, do you have a woman's perspective? Ellen, would you like to say a few words? Okay. Courtney.
No! Courtney! Oh my God.
wonderful gathering. I'm humbled to be in a room with so much love. And I feel so responsible to Jay's spirit. Because it's hard to carry that kind of baton. But I think one of the things that amazes me most as I think about him today is that it's amazing that he was so popular considering how willing he was to be unpopular. I mean, he could like inspire profound rage and a simultaneous amount of like awe. You know, simultaneously. Like, are you making me this mad? Is that possible? Wow. And like, it takes a level of genius to call any other presence to be as present as he did. And I guess what scares me the most about losing his incarnation in this lifetime is that I know that he inspired me to be more present than the vast majority of people that I had ever met before and then I will meet afterward. Please.
I heard that he inspired you to be more present than and I lost you, and I would like you to repeat yourself. If you
Right. And he inspired me to be more present than I would say probably 90 to 99% of the people I have ever met. And that's a pretty hard loss. Yes, Solomon. I'm right here.
Come down here.
So what I feel responsible to say is that I did some measure of investigation into Jay's death firsthand. And took a road trip down to North Carolina with Elizabeth. Asked a lot of questions. And what was frightening was the amount of answers that were created for something that nobody knew. Because there was no eyewitness to his death. Not one. So where do we get the image of a dive and things like this? There's no eyewitness. No one. Not a single one. So I wish that there were less answers and more questions. Because I think he deserves that. And I think that if we don't know, we shouldn't be afraid to say that we don't know. And if anybody does know, please tell me, because I'd love to have more peace around it, because I just imagine these different scenarios, because I am trying to respect his spirit enough to admit to myself, and as much of the pain that it brings me to say, I don't know. And that's terrifying. In a world and a universe of infinite possibility, it's absolutely terrifying. But the two words for me, found dead, are extremely ominous, especially in activist circles, because Sandra Bland was found dead. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Falun Gong practitioners who have been persecuted for over a decade have been found dead. There are countless people in the world who have done countless acts of good and committed so much of their lives to work who've been found dead. And I think that it's fair to admit that. And I think it does injustice to admit that. And the mystery is hard, but we can live in mystery together. We don't have to bear the mystery alone. Because I think creating answers for mysteries is worse than the mystery. So that's all I have to say, and I hope that I'm still friends with everybody here, but if I am unpopular, then I think it's fitting.
So Jim Preston stepped up and said he'd like to say a word or two.
Jim!
He came a long way down from the hill.
He came down from the hill. You know, I was thinking back when when the Hells Angels first got famous, they were interviewing Sonny Barger, the president, and he said, how do you recruit new members? He said, well, we don't recruit them, we recognize them. And that was the way it was with me and Ty and Liz and Medea and Joan and everybody, all of us. And Jay, of course, as you've known him for a while, and you've known his other friends, that he had that ability with almost everybody to connect with them on a level that was special. And anyway, he was my trouble twin. We had a lot of good times together. We used to ride around the car, and sometimes if we weren't feeling that good, he'd say, Jim, what are we doing together? 10 years apart in age, just a couple of guys. It's like, Jay, we're going to be doing it together. That was how it was, you know, a lot of miles and a lot of good times. And I know he had so many good times with so many people, and it meant so much to every one of them, and every moment. So many moments with him were just always special, and it's so great to hear how much of that so many other people got. It was my little brother.
We all did feel that, I'm sure, Jim. I felt it, and Ty has already expressed it, and everybody else is feeling it too. Jay's in the room. Testing. Testing. Everybody, is anybody listening? Listening? Is this thing on?
Testes, testes.
Testes. Jay's testes. Testes. All right. So, Lindy, did you have anything to say?
Lindy!
Testes, testes.
You know, last time I spoke off the cuff, you might remember what happened.
But that was, do it again, do it again.
It was very funny. She was hilarious.
It was funny.
You spoke from the heart.
So, anybody else? You know, we're all getting, you know, it's getting on, and we're having some drinks if you are, and loosening up, so maybe other people have things to say, but certainly Jay, and Jay, who knows, a little, in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour, Jay might come bounding up the stairs and say, let's go, we got things to do. Norman wants to talk about the t-shirts.
Yeah, you may have noticed that I've been wearing this t-shirt. I designed it. It was a fairly recent picture of Jay, too.
Speaking engagements.
And on the back, it's got the his picture inside the DC flag with the motto, the doctrine of the infinite flexibility. I have a few of them here.
Are you doing the model?
I was showing him the back of the shirt.
Oh, I thought you were doing model.
No, that was Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison would do it. I'm asking for a little reimbursement, but if I'm also putting it on the sliding scale. If you don't have any money but you really want one, that's fine. If you want to kick in, that's fine too. I really don't care. I just want those who really want to have a shirt to have a shirt.
Yeah.
See me or Martine later. We've got the kids over there. Awesome.
Thank you for doing.
Show us your shirt.
Oh no, that's not.
Take it off. Take it off.